So everyone's talking about this Jussie Smollett guy, who was the actor on Empire who staged a hate crime against himself. And no one really seems to know why. People are thinking it's because he was about to get written off the show. Jesus. And he wanted attention. And everyone's, this is just another case of, what's the deal with the media? They're so biased. Because, again, the media ran with this story without questioning it. And then now it's blown up in their faces. And a lot of people are citing the Covington High School story about the MAGA hat wearing kids. So yeah, you had the Covington High School kids, and who the original story was, they were harassing this poor Native American protester, and then that turned out not to be correct. That turned out to be a huge fake news story. And so now everyone's on their horse again about, why is the media so dishonest and biased and... Jesus. There we go. And this didn't just start, obviously. I remember starting to see this back in 2015, I think it was, with that Ahmed Muhammad story about the kid, about that Muslim kid in Texas. Okay, so the story, I remember seeing this story when it first broke on social media. And the story originally... The story about that originally, when it was breaking, was that this innocent teenage kid went to school for a science fair in Texas. And there was a science fair going on. And he made this digital clock all by himself. Ahmed Muhammad made this. I mean, that's impressive. Could you make your own digital clock when you were a teenager? Oh my god, I'm about to run out of time, aren't I? Or did this buy me time? Did it. With 1 second to spare. So, Ahmed Muhammad, he was this brilliant student. He made his own digital alarm clock and brought it to this science fair at a school in Texas. But then as soon as he got to the science fair, the racist, backwards teachers in Texas freaked out and thought he was a terrorist. They thought he brought a bomb to school. So they called the police, they called the bomb squad, and this kid, got arrested. And just another sign that America is this horrible, stupid, racist country. That they would just judge this Muslim student. They would just assume that just because he brought his homemade alarm clock, his homemade digital clock to school for the science fair, then he must be some sort of terrorist. But of course, that wasn't the story. There wasn't even a science fair. This kid, Ahmed Muhammad, just decided to... he didn't even make his own alarm clock. He just bought an alarm clock at the store, gutted it, put half of it in like some pencil box suitcase thing, and brought it to school to show off, hey, check out what I did. What the heck just happened? Oh, great, now I'm stuck. And when he brought the alarm clock to school, the teachers were like, hey, man, you might want to... that's pretty neat that you made your own alarm clock, even though he didn't make it. But you might want to be careful with that so people don't get the wrong idea. Just don't, make sure it doesn't go off or anything. And Ahmed Muhammad went apparently almost the whole school day without any trouble. What the crap? And apparently the alarm clock went off in the middle of his last class of the day. And the teacher, he got brought into the principal's office and the police were called, not because they thought it was an actual bomb, but because they thought this kid was trying to pull a hoax. They thought he was trying to prank everyone. They thought he was trying to cause a ruckus. No one actually thought he had a bomb. And apparently this kid had a history of being somewhat of a prankster, somewhat of a troublemaker, so to speak. Like to goof around in class and whatnot, from what I read. Now I'm all drunk in this Mario level. But hey, that didn't stop the media from just running with that story, running with that narrative, because that's how they view the world. And I don't know exactly when this all started. I remember, I mean, you can probably trace this back, if not longer, but you can at least trace it back to the Duke lacrosse scandal. The Duke, I mean, that was 2006, and these boys were falsely accused of rape, and everyone in the media just sort of piled on them. And then, you know, there's a whole documentary about this, ESPN 30 for 30. I think it's on Netflix. But, yeah, everyone in the media just assumed that they were guilty, and they piled on the Duke lacrosse students. And the media seems to be trigger happy when it comes to a lot of these stories. And you get people like Dave Rubin and the rest saying, "What's the deal with the media? They've just gone so bananas. They're so biased toward the left." And everyone likes to make a big deal about the media. And don't get me wrong. The media is awful. They are definitely biased. They definitely want to push narratives. They're dishonest. At the very least, they're just irresponsible. With the Covington Catholic story and this recent Jussie Smollett story. They're happy to rush... I remember this also happened with the Dakota Access Pipeline. They rushed to judgment with that story and let that narrative get away, that it was just these greedy oil companies looking to build their pipeline on Native American grounds. Of course, it turned out in North Dakota, I believe all of that was all done with private property. And I guess what happened is that Energy Transfer Partners originally went to Standing Rock, the Native American tribe, and offered to build it on their land. And the tribe apparently wanted so much money that the oil company, Energy Transfer Partners, said, "You know what, screw it, it's not worth it, we're just gonna build it somewhere else." And that's exactly what they did. But then, you know, you got that whole narrative about, oh, they're just looking to oppress the Native Americans more by building an oil pipeline. And of course the narrative with that story kept changing. It then went to, oh, they're trying to build the pipeline under a river, and that's going to jeopardize the drinking water. And then it pivoted to, what about climate change? And, you know, they're oppressing these protesters who are making a big mess all over the place. That's a whole different topic, though. But the point is, the media are quick to rush to judgment with a lot of these stories, and they're clearly biased. And at the very least, they're just reckless, but they're probably just dishonest, and this was an easy level. And everyone likes to make the big deal about the media, but I don't think the problem is the media. I think the media is a symptom of the problem. Because all these journalists, all these pundits, all these commentators, all these news anchors and producers and executives, especially the ones who are interested in politics and economics and social commentary and history, where do you think these people come from? Where do you think they go to learn to become journalists and media people? A lot of these journalists, they go to universities, they go to colleges in America to study, to learn things like the inverted pyramid style of writing, and how to operate a camera, and how to read off a teleprompter, and how to write news copy, and all that stuff. And for those who don't know, in the United States of America, Yeah, shy guy. In a lot of universities in America, you have to take what is called university program classes, which is really just a con because a lot of them are unnecessary. But a lot of these university program classes have to do with history and political science and humanities and philosophy and social sciences and all that stuff. So while these students are going to universities, darn it. While they're going to universities to learn the inverted pyramid theory and learn how to write news copy and learn how to read off a teleprompter, they have to go to their next class, which is usually a U.S. history class or an economics. What the hell just happened? Did I get crushed? Hello! Who is that? Mario Maker fan boy. What up? You probably have a level for me to try, don't you? You're going to torture me, aren't you? It's what people like to do with these Mario Maker streams. They like to give us the level codes to impossible levels. Anyway, so these media people, they go to colleges, and when they're not learning to become journalists, they're learning to become... They're learning social sciences and political science and economics from anti-American, anti-reason, Kantian, Marxist, postmodernist, existentialist intellectuals and academics at American universities. Oh, I didn't notice this little blue guy coming for me. He's moving fast. Ain't getting crushed again. This is an interesting level. Oh, your levels are easy. I'm no Kaizo person. What does that mean? Hammer Bros. Do you make Super Mario World levels? Super Mario Brothers 3? Those are my two favorite of the Mario games. But yeah, you look at a lot of these intellectuals. You know, I've been crapping all over that Stephanie Kelton character, who's an economist, who thinks you can just print money to pay for things with no consequence. And a lot of people are making fun of this person, Stephanie Kelton. But she teaches economics at Stony Brook University. And I don't know if Stony Brook has a... I don't know if they have a journalism school or a broadcasting school, but if they do, a lot of those students are probably learning economics from Stephanie Kelton and learning that you can just print money if you want to pay for big government programs. God, I hate bloopers. Lost my Shy Guy mask. Oh, but I beat it. It don't matter. It don't matter, folks. Because I am that darn good, even though I quit on the last two Mario Maker levels I played. But Mario Maker fan, if your levels are not impossible, I would be happy to play them. So go ahead and drop those codes if you want. But more intellectuals. So, I don't know if you guys are aware of this communist terror group from the 60s called the Weather Underground. Yeah, I'll do Yoshi. Or is this Kirby? No, it's Mario. So there was this communist leftist terror group in the 60s called the Weather Underground. And the leaders of this group were Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dorn. And again, these are people who were the head of a communist terror group, and they eventually got jobs teaching education at University of Illinois at Chicago. Don't really have to go far to find how horrible these academics are. You also got Richard Wolff, that Marxist economist who used to teach at UMass. I think he also taught at Yale in the 70s, but he's another one. Well, he's an academic. He's an expert on economics. And I don't know if at University of Illinois Chicago with Bill Ayers and Bernadine Dorn, I don't know if they have a journalism school or a broadcast school, but if they do, there are future journalists going to that school learning from these intellectuals who used to be the head of communist groups. I also did a video on Catherine McKinnon. It's called Feminism, I think, the Feminist War on Reality. And I talked a lot about Catherine McKinnon, who is a Marxist feminist, who teaches law at the University of Michigan. Now, I don't think Michigan has a journalism or a broadcast school. But again, if they do, University of Michigan is one of the most prestigious schools in America. And, America's best and brightest are going there to learn law, so... Think about it. Today's politicians, today's media people, today's public school teachers, they're all going to these universities where these anti-American, anti-reason ideas are popular. They're dominant. I actually went to broadcasting school at Central Michigan University, and I don't recommend it. But yeah, I took a lot of university program classes there, and I remember numerous history professors admitting that, or stating explicitly that they're socialist. You know, because hey, socialism's such a good idea, it just hasn't been tried right yet. Whee! Can't get me, Hammer Brother. This Mario Maker fan's wondering why I'm ranting about communism. He's like, I just wanted to see you play some Mario Maker levels. I didn't know I was gonna get a rant about the media and academia. Well, that's what I do. But even worse, so more people, more Americans have been and continue to go to college. So it's not only so much that a lot of the journalists, a lot of the media people are going to these schools. But now the American public are more vulnerable and susceptible and willing to embrace these ideas. So when you see these flashy videos on AJ Plus or Now This or these quirky HuffPo op-eds, all of these college-educated Americans who were taught by these anti-American intellectuals are going to be more willing to embrace it. So the point is that the media is ultimately a symptom of the problem, just like our bad politics. It's actually a symptom of the problem. The real problem is intellectual and philosophical, and the sad truth is that today's the state of academia in America is horrible, and they are training our youth to hate America and hate reason and hate life. Let's smoke all these Goombas. Yoshi time! Oh yeah. Oh, I think I'm about to get stuck. Not today, folks. How did you read my mind? I will play that level after I'm finished with that one, Mario Maker fan. Thanks for watching, by the way. Oh. Wow. Jesus. think that's a trap. It's a trap! So, you know, all this talk about, oh, what's wrong with the media? You know, the Dave Rubins of the world. Well, the media's just gone bananas. This is why I left the left. The media is just going to continue to get worse. It's not going to be fixable by, you know, a lot of conservatives like to say, oh, it's social media, it's technology, and it's these big tech monopolies in social media. We need fairness. We need antitrust legislation to enforce fairness. No, that's not going to solve it. This is ultimately an intellectual battle, and journalism is just going to continue to get worse. The media is going to continue to get worse because the media is ultimately not the problem. It's academia that's the problem. That's training these. I really want to play that Donut Plains level. All right, I'm going to play the Donut Plains level. Then I promise I will get to your level, Mario Maker fanboy. That's one thing I learned in broadcast school. You want to tease people, Mario Maker fanboy. You want to tease people when you're live on air. Give them cliffhangers so that they'll keep watching. But Ayn Rand actually talked about a lot about the about how the real battle is not political, that it's philosophical. She said in an essay, and I think this is a great quote, that a political battle is merely a skirmish with muskets. A philosophical battle is nuclear war. And if you you know, if you really want to solve this problem of the media and the dishonest left-wing media, you gotta be able to challenge them philosophically and intellectually, because it's only going to get worse. None of this is going away. You're going to get a lot more stories like this Jussie Smollett story and the Covington Catholic High School story. You're going to get a lot more stories like that, so buckle up, people. And the only answer to it is philosophical, and you got to be able to undermine them by memeing them, making fun of them, challenging them, calling them out when they're dishonest. I guess I'm going to be Diddy Kong now. But Ayn Rand said that America's saving grace is the American sense of life. And she said that, you know, Americans... Gosh darn it! I was doing so good. So it's all about the American sense of life. That Americans... The American attitude on life in general, and this was in the 70s, is just so much different than Europeans. Americans are more independent. They're a little more optimistic. Whereas Europeans tend to be more hopeless and pessimistic. You know, despite any drawbacks in the culture and politics in the 70s, there were still a lot of signs of the American sense of life, so to speak. And that has been America's saving grace, but I don't know how much of that is left. Who knows? When, you know, people are writing op-eds about how Dave Chappelle is transphobic for telling transphobic jokes. You know, every comedian now needs a hit piece to determine whether or not they're politically correct or not. Oh, shortcut. Oh well, I'll get another one. Mushroom time. What's the deal with the media? So that's the deal with the media, is the media, they go to these universities to learn how to do journalism, And while they're there, they learn from their intellectual superiors that America's horrible, that capitalism is bad, and that socialism is a good idea, and that what's true for you may not be true for me, and who can really know what's real. Mushroom time! And like I said, the media is just all this stuff, like these fake news stories and hoaxes and the bias. It's just going to get worse. So buckle up and know how to call people out. Give me that checkpoint, baby! I get some firepower. Yeah! A lot of cannons going off in here. Cannons. It's everyone's favorite power-up. I used to love all the flying power-ups, but I think I'm more about the firepower now, because you just get to slaughter everyone.